Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dylan Hildreth of Hildreth Motorsports Network. Just before we get into this, I just want to lay out the disclaimer. This was recorded before I made the channel switch to Hildreth Motorsports Network. So the banner is still going to say the Dylan Hildreth Show. So, but it is no longer the Dylan Hildreth Show. This channel is solely motorsports, NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, solely motorsports. So, and that is obviously all that we talk about. I just wanted to clear up any misunderstandings before we even get to that point. So, the content's good, just the background part is slightly out of date. So, without further ado, enjoy the 2026 F1 preview with myself and F First Thoughts. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the first of the year F1 2026 preview for my friends in the States who are willing to buy Apple TV for the sole purpose of F1. Welcome to the show where you keep on going, because I'm one of those fools that got Apple TV. Now, my friend over there, he doesn't have to worry about that. He's got Sky.
Yeah, now you get the Sky Sports coverage.
Yeah, you lucky duck. Not quite far enough in to call you what I really want to call you, but you know what? We'll probably get there. However, tell them who you are, where you came from, what you do.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Dylan, for having me on. I am First Thoughts, so you can find all my stuff on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, mainly on TikTok, though. I just make Formula One coverage mainly. I like to cover the NASCAR race in like a one-off TikTok once a week, but I've been doing it for a couple years. Nothing too special, just a bit of a hobby, but it's good fun. And yeah, excited to talk some Formula One with Dylan today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I have no issues holding off a little bit longer just to get you on here, because you are one of the few people that I actually believe and trust in whenever you talk about stuff.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
without further ado, let's dive in. We'll start with the reigning, defending champions, the McLarens, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri. We got Lando getting his first win, stealing that number one away from Max.
Yep.
Are we going to see it with the new regulations, McLaren just continue rolling, or are they going to hit a brick wall?
It's a good question. It's a tough one to answer because obviously in the end I think they're still a customer team. So they're not a works team like Mercedes, Ferrari, even Red Bull now do their own engine in-house. So they're always, I think, going to have a ceiling that is lower than those three works teams, the other three big teams that they're up against. Saying that, they did extremely well to turn around their fortunes at the end of the last regulations. So I don't see why this group that with the same leadership couldn't end up doing it again and continue that role on through this year. But do you have any different thoughts?
I just really don't know what to make of it. They obviously early on just completely and totally legendarily whiffed on the regulations at the start, and then and then just what seemingly felt out of nowhere, they just bam hit it at Miami a couple years back, and so I'm not entirely sure of what to make of it. As you said, they do have the Mercedes engines, so it's hard to tell. I do think Lando is talented, that he can overcome some missteps. I think Oscar is much more talented and will be able to overcome more missteps. But it's hard to tell. I mean, they did have some good times in testing, I do believe. I believe they were all top 5, I believe. or at least hovering around there.
Yeah, no, their times were good. They didn't, I think Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari probably looked better in terms of their overall times and the amount of running they were able to do in comparison to the McLaren. But the McLaren didn't look bad at all. The McLaren looked like a good Formula One car. I just think the others still probably had better tests.
Yeah, I mean,
they did.
we'll find out in due time though whether they did it or not. Here's the thing
Yeah, exactly.
with Zach Brown. I really don't know what to make of him because half the time he's an idiot, half the time he's a genius. There's like no middle ground with him. It's like,
Yeah,
like I personally don't like him, but that could just because I got Red Bull bias. Although I'm kind of teetering on whether, well, what I'm kind of deciding on is I'm gonna ride Max out till he says screw it, I'm going to endurance racing, or just switch, and then jump to Cadillac. Jump to Cadillac because there's some American pride there. Got an actual American team.
I think that's a very decent option.
We're not claiming Haas. We don't know where they came from.
Poor Gene. Poor Gene. But yeah, no. Something I'm just looking forward to seeing which whether Lando or Oscar adapt. Who adapts the best to these new regulations. Yeah. Because obviously, I think by the end of last year, it was pretty close. Oscar looked better for the first half of the season. Lando had that great run. Oscar seemed to get it back in the final couple races. So given just how different these new cars are, I think it'll be interesting to see which one can come out on top.
Honestly, it's going to depend on whether who they treat as the number one driver. They can say, "Oh, we got 1 and 1A," which we all know is bull. Lando was the number one the entire time. Every single 50-50 break went Lando's way that McLaren controlled. And it was and without some of the things that happened, whether it be Oscar getting screwed over by McLaren, it was the FIA in Silverstone. I mean, time and time again, and he still almost pulled off winning a championship before Lando. Now, I'm not saying that Lando's championship was luck, but there was more luck in that championship than we had seen over the last number of years with Max Verstappen. Would that be fair?
I think that's a fair analysis. I mean, Max was definitely still the best driver that year. Yeah. Without his head loss in Spain, he wins that title. Easy to say in retrospect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that race, and it was just I damn near lost it in the post race, which still should be up there if you can dig far enough to find it. But that was the this is gonna come back and bite, and the entire time in Abu Dhabi, I'm just sitting there like Spain, 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 Spain. And it was just like because like right off the cuff, you knew like Max was going to win this race, but championship wasn't going to be won.
Yeah.
So it was just like it was just that playing in my head over and over again, and it was just like
it was unfortunate. And then the same thing, even obviously not in one of their control, but Antonelli making that mistake on the penultimate lap in Qatar. Norris gains that extra position, which means, suddenly he wins the title, finishing where he finished. But if they had finished where they had finished in the final race in Abu Dhabi, and Antonelli hadn't made that mistake, Norris loses the title on countback. So it's just crazy, all the small things that play out over the course of the season.
It not quite as intense, but it gave some serious 2021 vibes. Like Lewis Hamilton doesn't go blowing through turn 1 at in Baku. It's a whole different story.
Yeah, you forget. Not that I forgot about that, but I forgot about that a little bit.
Like
That he completely missed turn one.
like you like in that season, you can point at 18 different things, and it could have gone that many different ways. Like,
Yeah,
I've said this before. The 2021 Formula One season was the greatest season of sports that I have ever had the privilege of watching. That includes every season of football I have been alive to watch, every season of baseball, basketball, you name it, NASCAR, you name it. 2021 Formula One season was the greatest sports season I have ever had the privilege of watching.
it was ridiculous.
And and hungry when he made the one car grid start, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's such a crazy in retrospect as well.
Well,
Just the even the I know sprint races go. We're getting a bit off topic here, but you know, sprint races. In that year, they had the format, you know, where the sprint race set the grid for the main race.
Yeah.
But some of the most iconic moments throughout that year don't happen if, you know, we have the current sprint race format.
Brazil.
Hamilton and Verstappen so Brazil, Hamilton's not getting back through the field, right, properly if he doesn't have that sprint race. I also look at Silverstone. Hamilton qualified on pole for that race on the Friday, but Verstappen jumped him in the sprint race, which meant they were set up Hamilton starting P2, which led to that whole first lap amazing battle until we got the cops. That's not happening if there's no sprint race there. Even on Monza, right? We don't have that chaos with, you know, Ricciardo winning the race, them coming together. If Ricciardo doesn't make up the positions on Norris and Bottas in the sprint race. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a wild season, and if we can get anything as close to that again, then we'll be happy customers. But speaking of Lewis, we'll dive into the Ferraris here. Horrific season last year. Couldn't get a win. Very limited on podiums. I mean, just an utter disaster. Fred Vassar is back. Did get a contract extension, but are we going to see are we going to see that Ferrari resurgence that we've been looking for 2 decades at this point?
They look good. I mean, I think I've said that about, I don't know, maybe 5 out of the past 6 or 7 years that they've looked good, but they do look pretty good going into this rule cycle. They're getting mileage done. I know we haven't brought it up yet, but the rear wing, even if it's not, you know, effective, having it go upside down, I think, is just a cool innovation, and I think probably shows the culture change at Ferrari. You know, that they're under Fred's leadership, they're willing to, you know, go forward and make changes, do stuff, think outside of the box. So I think they're in, alongside Mercedes, I'd say they're probably in the best position at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, so take it with a grain of salt because I'm not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination. If I was smart enough to do that, then this would be a totally different show. But I think with the way that the wing just completely flips over like that, it actually creates some downforce on the front because the air would be pushing up on that wing. If that makes any sense.
I believe it generates lift, rather than.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about the front.
It would generate lift on the back, but only on the back, creating downforce on the front. Because the car would be lower on the front because of the lift in the back.
Oh, so it's got more rake in it.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, the nose, the cone, the nose would be closer to the ground.
It's got more pitch. Yeah, all right, I see.
Oh, we're having that language.
Yeah, this is what happens when people that have no idea about aerodynamics try and discuss aerodynamics,
but that's just my thinking on that. That at least one of the benefits of doing that. Now, the thing that could bring issues is in the FIA rules, it's got to be completely open in like 4 milliseconds or something like that. Yep. And it like just beats that. Now, in a windy situation, is it going to be able to get up and over quick enough? Because it was like 4 milliseconds is the max, and it goes like to 3 1/4 or 3 1/3. So very limited room for error.
It'd be interesting.
I do like the innovate. I do like people trying new ideas, especially as noticeable as that. And as much as I want to see Ferrari be competitive, I mean, how many times are you gonna let you? How many times are you gonna go back to the abusive ex before you just say, "Nope, I don't trust you. Nope, not doing it."
Yeah. If
So it's
you're a
like,
Ferrari fan, it's every year.
yeah, yeah. And for a while there, for almost 20 years, it was Michigan against Ohio State at the end of November. But anyway, so are we gonna see Ferrari at the top of the podium?
I'd say so. I'd say so. I think we definitely got. I think we got more chance of seeing Charles up there than Lewis. He's looked better in the car. He's looked more comfortable, similar to last year. He's just looked. The car's looked better when he's been driving it. There's been less slides, less locking of the front tire. Lewis obviously struggled a lot with just the overall handling of the ground effect cars not being to his liking. These cars can get a bit more yaw in them. So from that perspective, I think he'll feel more comfortable. But yeah, Charles just still looks a lot better in this car early on. So I think we'll see Charles, Lewis. I mean, there's still plenty of time left, so we'll find out, I
Yeah.
suppose, if
Well,
he'll be able to get the same results.
with Charles, he's younger. He's a bit more adaptable. Where Lewis is kind
Mm.
of ever since the end of the ever since 2021, he's just looked completely uncomfortable, and he just hasn't really caught up to or been able to adapt to all the changes going around in Formula One. And
Yeah.
I think that's just the way that he is, and I think we're gonna see him continue to maybe not struggle on a larger scale than what he has. He might go from fighting for points to fighting for podiums, but
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see him on the top step.
Yeah, no, I same position with me. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't end up seeing him, unfortunately.
But from from one big name to the other, the Mercedes, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli had had a pretty good year. Russell got himself a few wins, or you got two wins.
Yeah, yeah, they had an all right season. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but they just didn't quite have the pace of the. They were definitely better than the Ferrari, but they just weren't up there with the Red Bull.
Yeah, and as we know, with the first round with the regulation changes that we had going into 2022, Mercedes had a legendary whiff, and they were slowly able to work themselves back to at least not embarrassing. And then we have
Yeah.
And then Lewis left. Kimi comes in, gets on the podium a few times. Russell gets on the top step a few times. They seem to have their specialty in tracks, and now we're back going to a regulation and more of a regulation change style that they absolutely knocked out of the park the last time. Going into, what was it, 2014? 2015?
Yeah, changing engines, 2014.
So,
Yeah.
are we going to see Mercedes return to the form, or you think they whiff again?
I think general consensus from the media is that Mercedes are probably in one of the best positions, definitely at the start of the second test. Again, it's hard to know. You just don't know what everyone's doing in terms of fuel loads, etc. But I think, yeah, they probably look like they're in the best position so far. Their engine looks like one of the best. They were the only ones to hit on the combustion ratio, being able to run it at a higher. The combustion ratio limit is 16. They are able to run theirs higher, pushing 18 to 1 when it's hot, and it's only measured when it's cold. So other teams were upset about that. So they're the only team to hit on that. They look pretty strong, so I'd say. So what do you think? Do you reckon they'll be able to replicate 2014, or will it be a 22 situation once again?
I think they're going to be closer to 2014, they're not gonna repeat on being 30 seconds ahead of the field. F1 would completely and totally lose their minds if that happened, and those cars are gonna be going through a fine tooth comb every single time. And
Yeah.
but I think, but I do think that we will see Kimmy get his first victory this year. I think we'll see George Russell on the podium a lot more often than we did a year ago, and we're gonna see
Mm.
a somewhat return to form. Now, like I said, they're not going to come out and be 30 seconds ahead of the field and be able to take about 4 pit stops that everybody else has won and still win by 12 seconds. But I do think that we will absolutely see George Russell towards the end fighting for a championship.
Yeah, I think this is a very good position. And just to touch on the point from previously, it was 2 wins last year. So I think they'll definitely be in a position where he'll be able to get more than the 2 he got last year. I think that's a pretty good position to be in.
All right. And then we go to the always interesting, never boring Red Bull, always always in the news. They are they got themselves a oh, I completely messed this up. Hold on. Yeah.
You're good.
Now we're in trouble. I realized I had my camera off for you, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's not fair." But anyway,
No, it's fine. I don't mind.
the always boring, or the never boring, always in the headlines. Red Bull, they some seem to forget they didn't quite hit the regulations in 2022. They were behind Ferrari in that, and Ferrari actually had the far better car, but then they hit their peak. They came crashing down to earth with absolute fury. So
yeah,
and they don't have the boy wonder, Adrian Newey. Is Red Bull in trouble?
Well, I thought so going into preseason testing, Dylan, but they've looked decent. I think everyone's main concern, irrespective of the fact they've lost Adrian and the chassis side, but was their engine. First in-house engine they've ever done. Huge undertaking. I wouldn't have been surprised if they were, mid-pack, but their engine looks pretty good, especially in the actual Red Bull. We'll touch on them later, but the V-carb looks a bit more of a difficult car with the engine packaging. But overall, I think they've exceeded my expectations. Verstappen looks incredibly good in the car. Hadjar, less so. But that I think is to be expected. Do you think their engine will be able to be on, par with the Mercedes and the Ferrari this year?
I would be stunned if Red Bull is having the kind of issues that we think they are going to have, actually, just because of the pride that Ford has in what they do. They were never going to go into this partly as just for kicks and giggles. They partnered with Red Bull for a reason, and that reason is Max Verstappen. They absolutely are, and this is just on the Ford side. I'm not talking about the Red Bull side. They're going to be hell bent on never, whether it's Max Verstappen, whether it's Lindblad, whether it's Lawson or Hadjar, they will not accept consistently being beat by Cadillac. Because of that rivalry that has gone on since the dawn of motorsports, really.
Yeah.
But
no, that's a very good point. Not forgot about Ford's involvement, but obviously Ford came in, have probably had an extremely large amount. There's a bit of talk behind the scenes about how much of a branding exercise it was in comparison to an actual involvement in the engine compared to what Cadillac's doing. But I definitely think that would have gotten involved, and probably a big reason why the Red Bull's been so good.
And also I don't know if they have, but if I was at the top of Red Bull, I would definitely be playing this little game. But I would definitely be almost money laundering with the cap. Hey, Ford, do your thing, do the research, put whatever money you got into it, figure out this engine, and we'll just say, oh, hey, this is where we started. I mean, that's the way that I'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy thinking, using all your resources there, Dylan.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. As long as you don't get caught, it's not cheating.
Yeah. Hey, I grew up in the world of NASCAR. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So there's a reason why all the rule books are like 8,000 pages thick. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with Red Bull. But I would expect Max Verstappen to not lose too much of a step. However, I am a little nervous being a fan of Max and loving watching him race when he said these cars are boring. And I've seen like that's been a growing sentiment within the F1 realms of, this car's not that good. Have you been seeing the same things?
I have been seeing that. So I think that mainly comes down to the engine. I think from the perspective, I think drivers on the whole, in terms of just the overall, the cars have gotten smaller, tires are smaller, they're a bit more nimble this year. I think from that perspective, drivers are happy. As I was saying earlier, you can get a bit more yaw on the car. They're a bit nicer to drive through slower speed. But the main issue I think a lot of drivers are having with is the engine, 50% electrical power, a lot more focus on recharging the battery, energy management strategies, leaning more into the Formula E side. When a lot of drivers, Max in particular, loves racing those naturally aspirated, no turbocharged GT3 cars. You're just pushing flat out the entire time without having to focus on that energy management. So I think that's possibly where a lot of the drivers are not quite as happy. Max specifically. Do you think we'll still see him sticking around when his contract runs up, or do you think he'll be off to another motorsport series?
If he still has the same sentiment that he does now, by the time his contract's up, he's gone. I mean, I know. I don't know if we've ever said it on show, but I know we've talked about it. Like, this isn't a job for Max. He's doing this for kicks and giggles.
No.
Like, he's just out there having fun. So
100%.
If he's not having fun doing this, then at the end of his contract, he's just going to go home, be a dad, race for Team Redline.
Yeah.
Stupid ESPN.
No.
But he's just going to go home, be a dad, run for Team Redline, run Nuremberg, run a couple 24-hour races, call it a day.
Yeah.
Although
100%.
Although 100%. I think the one thing that would bug him, and I don't think he realizes it at this point, he does have that opportunity to get the almighty 8th title. If anybody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be him. But this car has to be this. And the great thing with Red Bull is you don't have to nail the regulations. You just got to be in the ballpark. Max can get you the rest of the way there. That's the craziest part.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Great point.
So,
we'll see.
Well, so let's go into the Aston Martins. Fernando Alonso, very, very quiet last year. I mean, last year I think was just one of those like, we got nothing. This is a lost year. Happens with a lot of teams, especially the year before regulation. And do they still have the same rules in effect for like wind tunnel time and stuff like that as far as championship points, or did they?
Yeah, it would be where they finished at the end of last season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was an element of I don't know if I don't know if you got this term over there, but tanking in order to get more time in the
Mhm.
wind tunnel for 2026 or 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2026. That's what this year
This
is.
year, yeah. I
but
know.
but yeah, I mean, and honestly, with Adrian Newey, got a new car. We've seen him multiple times. New regulations. Usually, only one guy hits it perfectly, and it's Adrian Newey. No matter what car, no matter whose name is at the bottom of the check. And I believe isn't he the team principal now too?
Yeah, I believe he owns some of the team now as well. So he's got some of his actual own money invested into the program too.
Yeah, it's yeah, it I mean, I would be stunned if we see these cars kind of be in the same spot or just a little bit better. I we might be seeing Alonso at the top of the step very often, and potentially going for another world title.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm struggling to at the moment they look bad, Aston. I don't think I can sugarcoat it any other way. Um their engine with the Honda has had shocking reliability. I believe Nui in a kind of commission meeting said they can't even meet the minimum recharge per lap, right? Not even the maximum. I forget the headline numbers, but it's like 250 kilowatts of recharge is like the minimum. Maximum is around 350, I believe, and they couldn't even hit that. So they're really struggling engine wise. And then when they have been able to run on track, which they haven't been able to do much because the Honda engine just hasn't performed, the car just hasn't looked great. It's looked very unstable. So at the moment, I'd say they'd probably even be under pressure by Cadillac. Saying that, the team is now part owned by Adrian Newey. He's the team principal. He will turn it around. It just becomes a question of how long will that take? Will it be throughout this year? Will it be next year? Will it be 2 years' time? They will turn it around, but not the start I think they would have wanted to these new regulations.
So now the question, okay, so the question would be, is Lawrence Stroll going to have the patience to let Newey turn this around?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think yes, bringing Nui in. I think he'll have the patience with Nui. I mean, this entire project, he was like corporate loves their 5-year projects, 3-year projects. So when he bought the team in 2020, 2019, 2020, I believe, he turned it into a 5-year project, and it's definitely been more than 5 years, and they are still not fighting for world titles. So 2023 was their peak, and unfortunately, they've still gone downhill since then.
Well, it doesn't help when you pretty much only have one winnable driver on the team.
Mm,
Uh,
yes,
that
that
that,
doesn't help.
that's a hurdle. Let's see.
No, it makes it more difficult.
Is this car bad or are we just slow? But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
so we'll see what Alonso does too.
yeah,
Stays
and
for now, Phil.
and how many times how many times we'll go put it at 3.5 over under? How many times do we look at Lance Stroll and be like, "The hell is he doing? What what's
Oh,
he doing?"
at least a couple times a race,
Oh my goodness! Like,
at least.
uh, I know in the
Mm,
NASCAR world, people give the Dillon boys a lot of crap for being Silver Spoon kids, but this is like a whole different level. Like, my
yeah, this is
God,
bad. Yeah,
it's one thing to dump a couple million down the toilet to get your grandkids into racing and get them up to the Xfinity or well, yeah, O'Reilly series now, or the Cups or even the Cup
yeah,
series. But Lawrence Stroll, oh my God, like he is dumping hundreds and close to $1 billion to try to get his son to stay in Formula One. Like this is insane.
yeah. A lot of money, and I mean, Stroll's showed some potential early on. You forget he's been in the sport since 2017. He showed potential, but he's definitely run his course, right? He's just, other drivers, if they'd showed that level, and their dad didn't own a team, it would have been around for 3-4 seasons, maybe, if they're
Well,
lucky, and then
well,
be off the grid.
well. If he drove for Red Bull, he'd be out after half the first race.
It's also a very good point.
Box.
Yeah.
We're putting Yuki in. Driver
Yeah.
change.
Get out of the car. Out of the car.
Oh goodness
no.
gracious.
Yeah.
Then let's see. Kind of going out of this order here. Let's go to the Racing Bulls. You said that they haven't looked great.
Yeah. So in comparison to it's mainly in comparison to the Red Bull, in terms of the Red Bull powertrain's engine has looked pretty good in the actual works Red Bull. I'm not sure what they've done on the Racing Bull side, but it just looks less happy. Like, it doesn't look like that the power delivery is as good. The car looks just a bit more unsettled. The Red Bull looks like a whole package, built as one car, engine, powertrain together. The Racing Bulls just more looks like a car plus an engine. Doesn't seem to be working quite as well. So that's where that comment was coming from. They've looked all right though.
I would imagine, especially in these kind of times where there's just so much uncertainty with new regulations, that like they have Red Bull and V-Carb, they start at two places and they intentionally go opposite directions to see what works. And
Yeah.
and then okay, it's working best with Red Bull. Start incorporating Red Bull into V-Carb. I know there's like rules
Yeah.
against it, but again, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
No, exactly.
So
But
I
they've
would,
looked all right. Just nothing, nothing special.
yeah, I would imagine they were just trying to play with something to see if it works on the
Yeah.
and if it did, then they'd obviously incorporate it into Red Bull. Obviously, it doesn't seem like it's working, but so it is.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
is what it is.
they've done good laps. I think they had the most amount of laps on the final day of preseason testing yesterday. I think they did over 160. So they've looked fine. They just hasn't looked as good as the Red Bull. But I feel like that's just to be expected.
Yeah. Are we gonna see? You think we see a Racing Bull somewhere in the podium area? Are they close enough for disaster to strike? And they take advantage?
I mean, potentially. Potentially. I think basically every car's in the mix, if something like that happens. Look at last year. I didn't think I would see Hulkenberg on the podium, but there he was at the British Grand Prix. Look, if you find yourself in the right position, you don't have to be a great car, just be one of the midfield cars. Something happens up front, suddenly you can be on the podium. So yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean, it's any given race. Just something can be found, and all of a sudden, you're up there with Max Verstappen, wondering how the hell you got there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, and obviously, I don't think we'll see anything significant out of Lindblad this year, but in the years to come, if Isaac's able to hold on to the Red Bull seat, which I think with really Red Bull as a whole, and this includes Racing Bull, I think there was like an entire culture change when they told Christian, "Do not come back," because, and you can kind of see it there late last year when after the change, and you just saw Max begin to get better and better. Yuki kind of stayed but I think he got a little bit better. He was getting in the points every now and then, and you just saw a gradual increase in production.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
And I don't know if it was just from hearing the same voice for 2 decades, or people were getting tight because now they're just firing drivers willy-nilly. But
yeah,
I think there was a culture change. I think we'll see Isaac in that car for at least a couple of years. I don't think they want to take that kind of media hit again. And
no.
And I think we'll see. I think we'll see Lindblad really be able to grow up in that car a little bit. Give him about 3-4 years, and we might be seeing Lindblad and Isaac in the Red Bulls. Well, Max
And what do you
goes
think about Lawson?
Lawson, Pierre Gasly 2.0. Got his chance.
Yeah,
Got the shaft, and back in the racing bulls.
no chance you think he'll ever. I think he's time it.
Not
Moving in the he had his opportunity. I don't think he's ever going back.
not in the Red Bull.
No.
Although
Yeah, you're right.
although
Pierre Gasly's situation.
some would argue Pierre Gasly's fate's worse. Much worse.
Driving for them. Yeah.
Or Alpine, who goes through Alpine, who goes through team principles faster than I go through underwear. My goodness, this whole mess.
Oh no.
Franco Colapinto having to sign a new contract each and every week on those 7-day deals.
It's not ideal. Not ideal.
But he is back alongside Pierre Gasly.
Yes.
They have been tanking for many years at this point to get to this point. And
they'll probably still keep tanking.
Are not good in testing?
They looked fine. Again, with all the midfield's just so close, it's hard to pick a car apart. You know.
Yeah.
I think you'd put Aston and Cadillac probably as the back, and then you'd go with your usual top 4. The rest of the teams, you know, they're in the midfield. It looked like the Alpine looked like a solid midfield car. Didn't look good enough to challenge the top. Didn't look bad enough to be sitting all the way out the back. So I think for much as it has been for much of its career, it's probably going to be just, you know, there, not doing anything special.
Better than last year, but not great.
Yeah. I think they'll be in, again, hard to read in, but they looked fine. You know, nothing too horrendous. They had probably had a couple more breakdowns than most other teams did. But yeah, they look like they'll be in midfield contention probably more than what they did last year. Saying that, they looked incredibly good at Bahrain last year in preseason testing. The best result of the year was in Bahrain in the race, and then any other circuit they were much worse. So
yeah,
we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, it's I mean, if they can get some level of consistency at the top, and changing the boss every year is a huge issue. And if they can just, and also not hiring very shady people to run the joint, that's a plus. And I do believe I do believe they got rid of him, right?
He might still be there.
Oh,
I'd be surprised if they got rid of him.
Oh, Jesus.
I can check, but
obviously I wasn't watching F1 at that point. What was it, the early 2000s that was all going down? Or was it 2010s?
The crash gate was in 2008.
Okay.
So 2009 is when it all went to shambles.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know a little bit about that situation. If you know more, you can kind of talk about that, so some of the Drive to Survive fans can be in on the loop.
Yeah, Crashgate was 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. It really all comes down to Alonso's contract. So Alonso had signed with Renault at that stage, which was run by Flavio Briatore, who currently runs Alpine. Fernando's contract basically allowed him to, look for other options and leave if he did not get a race win in the 2008 season. He qualified he underachieved in qualifying. So they thought he had a really good race car, underachieved in qualifying. And then going into the race, he made a very unusual early pit stop. Fernando Alonso did. And then very fortuitously, a safety car came out very soon after he had made his first pit stop. And it happened to be his teammate, Nelson Piquet, who had crashed into the wall, Nelson Piquet Jr. It all looks a bit suspicious in the moment, but it all doesn't come out until the next year when Piquet loses his spot in the team, goes to the, threatens to tell everyone about it, and it turns out that he was ordered to crash deliberately. So that's basically Crashgate summarized. Flavio received a big ban from Formula One for it, but yeah, He's back now with
Yeah,
Alpine.
wasn't it like a lifetime ban he got?
Yeah, he was given a lifetime ban, and then I think they appealed. Or he appealed, and I think it got reduced from a lifetime ban. But I mean, it's disappointing that they've resorted to bring him back. But I'm not surprised.
Wait. So you're telling me option C in the movies is illegal? Uh,
Oh no.
you're
Yeah.
you're telling me Hollywood's been lying to me? Oh, got it.
Can't believe Hollywood's been lying.
Unbelievable. What else? What else are they lying about?
But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they do this year. I mean, Pierre definitely number one driver. Colapinto looked all right at the end of last season. I still think Doohan was a bit stitched up. I obviously won't see him back again, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. How they do going forward. I'm not expecting major things from them though.
Yeah, and then we go to the other American team who has had their moments. Oliver Behrman has driven through the field a couple of times to go from last to in the points. He is back along with Esteban Ocon. We kind of gonna see similar things, or are we actually gonna see some better qualifying?
I'm expecting for this year. I think the Haas has looked very good. It's looked it's done a lot of mileage. Especially I think it did the most mileage in terms of all the Ferrari teams in the second preseason test. So they've looked very good. And even performances looked pretty good. Its headline times haven't been, top tier, but it's looked like a very stable car on track. Easy to drive, and most importantly, they've had no reliability issues. So I think they're probably one of the best placed teams in that midfield group of you're talking Alpine, you're talking Williams, Haas. Those types of teams, I think they're probably in one of the better situations.
Yeah, I really as much as I kid about Haas, I do want to see Oliver Behrman start being who we think he truly can be, and we saw flashes of that last year. I think if we can get a little bit more consistency out of Oliver Behrman, I think Haas is going to be sitting in a really nice spot. Esteban Ocon, I mean, he is. I don't know why he's still there. I don't know why he's still there. Honestly.
Yeah.
After
Behrman's looked quicker.
After that whole thing with after the exit with Alpine, it's just like, what are you doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. Behrman's looked much better. He's looked quicker than Esteban. Esteban's had some good drives, but in race trim last year. But the issue is he just kept getting out qualified by Behrman, and it's much harder to make your way back through the field at that stage. So yeah, Behrman's I think in a great position to lead the team going forward. And as I said earlier, the car looks very good. I think consensus has it leading, that midfield pack probably alongside Williams would be my estimation. No, Williams have had some issues, but yeah, they definitely look like one of the leading cars in that midfield pack.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Williams, the last family run team. Carlos Sainz, Alexander Albon. Carlos Sainz got himself a couple podiums, really flipping the bird to the prancing horses. As he has he's had his moments. However, Williams were quite inconsistent last year, whether it'd be fighting for a podium all the way to can't sniff the points. We gonna see kind of everything flatten out with Williams, or are we gonna see another just weird runs out of nowhere?
Well, I'd forgotten about this earlier, but they missed the first preseason test, so the test at Spain, their car was not ready, so not a great start once again. The car itself,
Didn't they have the same issue with with the last round of regulations. I know they had 1 year.
Yeah. So 20, it was the first season. It might have been 24. I think they were late. That came down to uh there was James Vales did an overhaul of just basically how they were using Excel spreadsheets to keep track of, when parts were being made. So we went through and redid all of that, updated it, and the team just weren't used to it. So that's why that car was late. This car was late because I just don't think they built it quick enough, rather than they thought they left it all to the last minute, but they left it too last minute in the end. So rather than it was just, they thought they'd be able to get it done. They couldn't, rather than them just being unfamiliar with, a new supply chain system, I suppose.
That like that is insane to me. How you cannot have a car ready for testing. I mean, it's not like one of those that just kind of sneaks up on you and you're in the heat of the season. I mean, that's insane to me. Like,
yeah, it's one of those ones where they're like, "What's the last possible date we can start building this part to have it ready by then?" Start then, and like, oh shit, that is not the last possible date. It was not gonna have the part ready.
Someone forgot to carry the one in the calculations.
Yeah.
Like that has to, like I want to like I want to like Vaughn or Voss, the team principal. He seems like he knows what he's yeah, he seems like he knows what he's doing. He seems like he knows what he's doing most of the time. But like this is like far and beyond inexcusable.
Yeah, it's not great, especially because they already missed the start testing in 24.
And to do this, and that was still under his reign, right? So
yeah, it was.
And it was year 1 for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was year 1.
So we got 2 of the last 4 years. He has not had a car ready for testing.
Yeah. Not ideal.
Could you, like, obviously in America, it's not like wall-to-wall, like, breaking news coverage, but imagine for NASCAR, they go into the Daytona, they're coming to the Daytona 500, and you got that first practice, and Chase Elliott's just kind of standing there like, "Where's my car? Where?
Yeah,
you guys got
not
a car
good situation."
Like, that's insane.
That'd be horrific. Yeah.
So, that is an insane level of incompetence. So, if you have felt bad,
no, it's not ideal.
So for those of you at home, if you feel like you suck at your job, well, at least you got a car there.
Yeah, not a good situation to be in at all. But we'll see what they can do during the season. The car hasn't looked amazing itself. Probably, back into that midfield group I was talking about earlier. But again, testing. We'll see what happens when we get to qualifying in Australia. That's where it all really starts to matter.
If they can get a car there.
If they can get a car there. Maybe one of them will crash it and then we'll only have one car in the race again.
Yeah.
Like we did in whatever year it was.
I know there's a few times that's happened, but yeah. Then we have a rebrand team in Audi taking over Sauber.
Yes.
They have been tanking for the last number of seasons, albeit getting in the podium last year at Silverstone for Nico. Bortoletto has done good with what he's had. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, but he's been able to exceed those expectations, kind of at times fluttering around the points, never really being dead last ever that I can recall off the top of my head. Not very often, anyway.
No, they've been in the midfield, pack.
So, I would imagine now that you have a team like Audi, and Audi's getting their engines from Mercedes.
No, Audi are in-house this year.
Oh,
first year doing their own engine. So,
okay.
In terms of talking about it, they had a very long lead time for their own engines. um, back to 22. So I think that was the main, point coming in is how good would their engines be. It's been all right. It's worked, which is good. That Honda hasn't worked, so it's been nice to see that their engine, is running. And they've done a decent amount of mileage with it. The car itself looks in the midfield pack, nothing too special. But yeah, decent position, I think.
Do we see kind of a script being flipped with Bortoletto now that he's got a couple seasons under his belt now, and Nico getting up there in age? You think we kind of see that flip of Bortoletto now starts finishing ahead of Nico more often?
Yeah, Bortoletto's looked quick. He has looked very quick, and I think quicker than what Nico has. So again, it will just come down to consistency, I think, at this stage. Ability to capitalize when the car's at its best, not making those mistakes, which I think Nico is still better at, not doing. He's just more consistent overall. Um, but yeah, Bortoletto's got a good high ceiling. He's really surprised me with how well he's been performing.
Yeah, and with the engines being in house, as we talked about at the beginning of this, I mean that is a huge advantage for those teams to
Yeah,
be able to build in
if you can
house.
build a good engine.
Well, yeah, I mean Alpine tried for years and years with Renault, but
Did,
it
didn't get it there, but yeah.
whew,
It becomes so much easier to incorporate.
well,
You know what's happening with the engine. You don't have to guess about what it's going to look like. Just a much better way to try and build everything in together.
yeah. Breaking news: the French cannot build engines as good as the Germans, the Brits, the Americans, or the Japanese.
No, really? Oh god, I never would have seen that coming.
Oh goodness gracious!
Yeah.
Then we got the brand new, shiny new team out of the great United States. Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas. They are piloting the Cadillac. The had this big unveiling, high expectations. Are they going to live up to those insane expectations laid down by the hype team having the unveiling during the Super Bowl? I mean, I can't think of like a team coming in that's had this much pomp and circumstance. But then again, this is the first time I've had a new team come in while watching F1. So
Yeah.
has there been a team that's come in with this kind of pop and circumstance or this kind of
I
fanfare?
mean, no, not since I've been watching F1. I was there watching when Haas came into the sport. Not the same level. They were much more scaled back operation. They got a lot of their parts from Ferrari. Cadillac again is all works team, and then even the next clump of cars before that was that 2010s. 29, 2010, 2009 regulation change. But none of those cars have the same. It's just such a the audience that Formula One wants, the US audience. That's why it's big. So I'm assuming there's been a lot of expectation put on them stateside. Personally, it's really difficult. Not personally because I haven't done it, but I think basically qualifying for the race is the main thing they should be aiming to do. Just because completely new team, never done it before, you can't be expecting them, I think, to be better than any other team on the grid because they've got years of experience. Formula One, Haas, has been in the grid for over 10 years now. So I think to have expectations on them to actually out qualify any other car is probably a bit too high. Saying that, they probably look like they could be better than the Aston Martin at this stage. So they've done an exceptionally good job. The car's been running. They haven't done any really big performance runs, but they've been within 2 seconds or so of the leading pace so far, which is inside the 107% rule by quite a fair way. So they'll definitely no issues with them actually qualifying for the race. But they look like they could be attaching themselves to the back of the midfield or beating Aston Martin. But did you have sky high expectations for them coming in, or were you a bit more of my school of thought where that you shouldn't be expecting them to actually be better than any other team because they haven't done it before?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think with Cadillac, like the people who don't quite understand racing, they're coming in with the expectation of at least running mid pack. That's the expectation that's being put forth. I mean, they're putting a lot of money in for Checo and for Valtteri, and to really be
Yeah.
able to at least fight for points. And I think that's the expectation of this season for Cadillac. But I mean, like you said, all the other 10 teams, they got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of notes to take, and they can look
Years of
back to
experience.
and refer to. Now, they're going to have the drivers to kind of lean on to, and I think the driver selection was really key here because it's not
100%.
because
100%.
at this stage it's not about getting the fastest driver. It's about getting guys who can explain what's going on with the car, and
Yeah.
then it's on the engineers to interpret it and how to make it better. And I honestly don't think you could pick a better person or second best person than Valtteri Bottas and Checo Perez to be able to really say like what's going on with the car and what they need with that car. So
Yeah.
I think coming out of the gate they might be fumbling around a little bit, but by the time we get to that second half of the season, come out of the summer break, I think that's when we're gonna see Cadillac begin to really close the ground from back of the pack up to the mid pack, and
Yeah.
by and it's gonna be interesting because we already know Cadillac's on borrowed time with the Ferrari engines, so
Yeah.
I'm quite curious to see how far they push the envelope there because Cadillac will have their own engines come 28, I believe.
Yeah, it's a couple years further down the track. Not sure the exact timeline off the top of my head, but it's it's either 28 or 2030. Can't remember. But it's a couple. They've got a couple of years with the Ferrari engines, and I think it was a good decision to go customer engine because they can focus on their actual operations to start with. Get down pat how you're running the car, what you have to do for a race weekend, how to actually develop just the chassis, and then you could bring in the other 50% complication of trying to actually build your own engine.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I mean, I understand why they did it, and it would absolutely be an unbelievably impossible undertaking to build the car, build the engine, do this and that, all in an off season. So
Mm,
I think I think going going with Ferrari was really your only option. But
yeah,
yeah, I think, but like I said, I think we're gonna see them come out of the gates a little slow, but I think they'll be able to start closing in on the gap and start rising uh through the constructor standings by the end of the year. I do think
yeah,
their goal is to beat the Racing Bulls since they are
yeah,
the Ford component. I do think that is the bare minimum expectation. And then once they get their engines in there and once they really get in there, I think by the time we get to 2030, 31, 32, then the
yeah,
expectations are going to be win the championship. And
yeah,
they're expecting that champion to be Colton Herta, which
yeah. It'll be cool to see if he gets in.
I have my doubts on that. I've watched Colton Herta in IndyCar. He has had flashes of brilliance, but he is just so inconsistent that
Yeah,
I mean I just don't see it with Colton Herta. You're gonna have to go outside the United States as much as you want to do the whole all American thing, and it's admirable. But I've
yeah,
said this multiple times. Americans don't care if it's Americans winning an F1. They do not care. They want to see winners. And if that winner comes from Mexico, Germany, uh, Australia, doesn't matter. America wants to see good stories and winning.
yes,
That's what we want to see.
yeah,
If it comes with American, great. But problem is, there isn't an open wheel driver in America that I think is anywhere near. You watch F2 far more than I do. Is there even an American in that pipeline?
Yeah, so obviously Sargent was American. At the moment,
We don't claim him.
Pipeline,
We don't claim him. He was
don't
Canadian.
claim him. Was he?
No, no.
Oh no, yeah. There was another guy. I think in the Williams pipeline. If get back to me and I'll have an answer for you.
But yeah, I mean, like like I said, Americans, it doesn't have to be all American to be loved. I mean, a lot of the great actors that we love and adore are from the UK. A lot of the racing that is now being really liked is all over the world, and it just, I mean, it as cool as it would be to be all American, I don't think it's just feasible at this time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Jack Crawford was the other American I was trying to find. So he was in Formula 2 for 2 years. I don't think he's in this year. I believe he's reserve driver for Aston for this season, but I don't think he's racing in Formula 2.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like if you're in F2 for more than 2 years, you're just not good enough for F1.
Yeah,
I
would say,
I
I think, you give you 2 seasons, I think, is probably what you'd expect. I mean, I think Théo Pourchaire won it in his 3rd season in 22. And, that's an example of someone actually winning it in their 3rd season. But you don't see him in Formula 1. So, yeah, first or second season, once you start going more than that, though, you start to, you're expected to have been able to improve more.
Yeah, then they turn into IndyCar drivers.
Oh, well, Teo Pourchaire lost his IndyCar drive, didn't he? He was at McLaren. He filled in for a race or two. I think then McLaren got rid of him for Nolan Siegel.
I believe so. I believe so. There's a lot
Siegel's done that well either.
Yeah,
McLaren and drivers is a very complicated topic, so perhaps we should.
Yeah, especially when I talk about Pato Award.
Yeah, we might be here for about 10 years if we tried to discuss.
He lost that lawsuit with he lost that lawsuit. He had to pay like.
Yeah, I did see that.
Christian Lundgaard,
a fair bit,
is one of them. That's with McLaren, and then Pato Award.
It's Lundgaard, Pato. Is it still Siegel?
Looking. Oh, hey, Mick's in Indy.
Ah, Schumacher.
Yep.
Respect.
I know there's one more.
Yeah,
I just don't remember who's third, but I'm looking for Papaya and it's just not there. So I only see 2 cars in the on the website. But
yeah, no, that's all right.
Anyway, is there a team I'm forgetting about? We cover
quickly. Should we review? So we've done Alpine, Aston, Williams, Audi, Cadillac, Ferrari, Haas, McLaren, Mercedes, Racing Bulls, Red Bull. I think we've covered them all.
All right. So now that we got the business out of the way, let's have a little bit of fun. We'll go with what happens first. Kimi Antonelli winning the Grand Prix or Lewis Hamilton?
Kimi Antonelli. I think I have to go with Kimi for this option.
Kimi? Yeah.
Same boat?
I agree. I think Kimi is going to be the first one to win. All right.
Just looked better.
First to the podium in 2026, Lewis Hamilton or Carlos Sainz?
I'm not gonna go Lewis, but I honestly, if Williams get their stuff together, You never know. Do you think there's a sneaky chance? Do you think that Carlos could end up on the podium before Lewis?
I I trust Carlos more than I trust Lewis.
Yeah, so
Carlos is still the last Ferrari driver to win a race.
Is he?
Yeah.
Did they not win one last year?
No, they did not win a one.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I'll pay it then. Very good position to be in.
All right. Isak Hadjar lasts the entire season. Yay or nay?
No, I'll say nay. I'll say nay. I would have said that about the I would have said that about Lawson lasting the entire season. 2 races, he's gone. Hadjar's looked good, but so did Lawson in the Racing Bulls. So wouldn't be surprised if Hadjar is politely booted out of the seat mid-season.
You think do they go with the nuclear option and bring in Lindblad, or do they go back to Lawson?
Nah, they go with bring in Lindblad, I think, depending on how he goes.
Here's the thing, and I talked about this a little bit when we were talking about the Red Bulls. I think there's a little bit of a culture change. It's not as cutthroat. I think we see Hadjar in the Red Bull come Abu Dhabi.
All right, so you think he'll last the entire year?
I think he does.
That's fair.
If things go completely sideways, then okay. But I think he's going to last longer than 2 races.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just wouldn't be like every other driver that's gone into that Racing Bull. The Red Bull. I thought they would do better than they did, and every single one has disappointed me. So I'm not sure that I see Hadjar breaking that trend of just being disappointing.
You also have to remember, though, it's a different team principle now, so
yes,
things may very well be different. Now, who has the most wins, Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri?
Oscar Piastri.
Ooh.
I'm Australian. I can't give up. I can't say
pick.
that he's being beat. I can't say that Lando's beating him this year. I just can't. In all seriousness, it'll probably be close. But yeah, I'll take Piastri, backing Piastri in any day of the week. And you, Dylan, who are you leaning towards?
I'm going with Oscar Piastri. I think he has more wins. I think Oscar. I think Oscar. Now that he's had that taste of what could have been, because we've seen him improve we've seen him improve vastly year to year to year, and I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see Oscar, if not already clinched, he's gonna be in contention for the title come Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
With how many times do we see George Russell and Max Verstappen start sniping at each other subtly in the press conferences and in other places?
How many times? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was as frequent as every second race, especially if both cars are competitive. If both cars are fighting, it's between them. They'll be sniping at each other basically every race, every second race at this stage. They just seem to not really like each other a lot at all.
Over or under, Max sees red 4 times. We get the seeing red Max. The if I'm going down, you're going down too.
Over. If the Red Bull's competitive and the other car's competitive, he's going to find himself in, situations through the race where he's having to battle other drivers, and he's competitive. So if things don't go his way, he will see red very, very quickly.
Here's the thing. We don't see Max seeing red when he's dominant. It is when somebody starts swatting at him. And obviously, Red Bull is not going to be able to flip the script to that degree again. At least I don't think we'll see it in the next 5 years. So I do think we'll get a seeing red Red Max moment? Do we see
Yeah.
one as stupid as Spain?
I don't think he'll go as stupid as Spain. I think that's probably taught him a lesson in terms of I think he understands that was probably a bit too far. Yeah.
I here's the thing. He has become a dad since then, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was before he was a dad. So I I don't think we get I don't think we do get a like obvious Max seeing red moment. Now, for the smart guys, they might see it, but I don't think we get the Max and Lewis at in Monza. I don't think we see Max at Spain. Being a dad calms you down a little bit. We've seen it with Kyle
Yeah.
Busch. We've seen it with Bubba Wallace, and I think it's going to have that effect. And I think he's going to be a lot. I think we're going to see a little bit different Max. I think we're going to see back half of last year Max far more often because he seemed after his daughter was born, he seemed a lot more calm, a lot more calculating, and a lot more. He thinks more ahead than what he already did.
Yeah.
And that's scary for other drivers.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see the best bit of driving from that is undisputable from Max Verstappen this year. So
yeah,
and that long soliloquy, I'm going to say under 4.5, and I would even say we won't get a noticeable one. Now, if you're watching on the driver cam, you're going to see him kind of get a little snippy, but I don't think we see an obvious moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if we do, it's one of those like, oh my god, he just ran somebody down 18 seconds like it was nothing.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see which one of us is right.
Were you able to come up with any other order for me on the spot?
Any other over unders? Look, I think over under or like, will it happen, will it not? This is Fernando Alonso's last season in Formula One. Will this be the last time we see Fernando, or do you think he'll be back for next year?
Depends on the car, but I'm gonna say we see him come back. I think.
Yeah.
I think Fernando's one of those that he is gonna stay in until he is forced out. He's not gonna be one of those that kind of. It's been fun, everybody. I'm going home now. It's come on, old man. It's time to go. It's time to go.
Yeah.
So I think we see Fernando come back for next year.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see him again as well. Same opinion.
Do we get a do we get the unthinkable? A Cadillac podium.
I'm gonna be a bit negative here. I'm gonna say no. It is unthinkable, and I unfortunately I do think it will remain unthinkable for this season. 2 seasons time, I can see it. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's gonna go this season. You think?
Give me a chaos scenario in one of the races in the States. Racing has a weird way of telling an incredible story. And I think we will see like some situation where it's raining in Miami, all hell breaks loose, and through the smoke we see Checo or Bottas come out and secure a podium, if not more.
Yeah.
Racing has a weird history of being able to tell that kind of story.
Racing, no, I agree. It does, 100%. It's got a weird history.
So, that's about all I have off the top of my head.
No, I think that's a good spot to leave it. I think we covered the drivers got some interesting, potential scenarios unfolding that we, discussed.
Okay. Well, we got one more thing. Who is going to
Yeah.
be the 2026 Formula One Drivers World Champion? Come on, go
That's
Homer.
a great
Go Homer.
question.
Go
All
home.
right. All right. I'm backing Piastri. I don't think they're gonna have the. I don't think McLaren will have the best car this year, but I think Piastri will, show some grit, determination, be out for revenge after last year, and I think he'll put himself in a great position.
And
Do you have a standout?
I'm going with the Homer pick. No, it's not Cadillac. They're not home yet, but I'm going with Max Verstappen, my guy, my dude, my the only driver that I actually outward root for. Ever since Junior retired, Max Verstappen has absolutely been able to fill that void, and I'm taking the Homer pick. I think Max Verstappen gets back on top. He wants that number one back. I think every time he walks into that garage, sees on the wall number 3, sees on the car number 3. It's not number 1.
Yeah.
That's gonna bug him all year long. Give me Max Verstappen.
100%.
Give me, and I'll go a little bit further. I think we go into the final race of the season. You have Max Verstappen in the hunt for the championship. You have Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri in the hunt for the championship. You have George Russell. Yeah. I think George Russell is going to be in the hunt for the championship come Abu Dhabi, and it's going to be one of those situations. Either George Russell or Oscar Piastri is going to make that serious major mistake, take the other out, and through the smoke, we see that Red Bull.
The Red Bull of Max Verstappen.
I think we see Max Verstappen win the championship in a very tight, unforgettable Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2026.
I think that's it. I wouldn't be surprised. He's inevitable. Verstappen, he's inevitable. Would not be surprised.
If it does come down to like a first of the line 2021 style between Max and Oscar, I will force you back onto this Discord. I don't know how I will, but I will find a way.
I'd come back on. I'd come back on for that. I'd come back in.
So, all right. All right. One last time for the folks. Tell them where to find you.
You can find me Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts at First Thoughts F1RST, and then Thoughts all one word. As I said earlier, just like to make some Formula One mostly and some NASCAR content. So I'd love to see you guys come in and just say hello in the comments section. And once again, thank you to Dylan for hosting, setting this all up, and for having me on to chat some nice Formula One.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on. So make sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you all in the next one.